This is Starpoint Radio.
Only Mr. Randy Muller.
Wow, what a big build-up. Hello.
Singer, songwriter, producer, arranger, flutist, salmon lover.
Ah, there you go. You have all my credentials.
Wow, where do we start?
How are you doing today?
Oh, fine. Lovely to have you here on Starpoint Radio. Welcome to Starpoint Radio.
Yes. This is my first Starpoint interview. You know that.
A lot of people say that. I don't think they ever did them before.
Yeah, this is my first time in Starpoint territory. This is fancy. I have my tux and bow tie on for this.
Fantastic. And what kind of shoes you got? You got shiny shoes as well?
That's right. With sparkles on.
Well, you've been the funk man for many years, haven't you?
I don't know. I keep thinking I've been taking showers and baths. I can't be that funky. But I guess I've been accused of worse things, right?
Oh,
yes, being a funk man isn't that bad.
Beach Express, wow. So much funk deluxe, Tamika Jones, Garrett Mims. We've just been playing some of it and thinking how good it sounds.
Well, great. I'm glad you're keeping the music alive, and that's one of the things I really love about the UK. You guys have really do a great job in just keeping that groove and that sound alive. On this side of beyond the States. I think in the States it seemed to be a dying thing, but you guys have just been invigorating it with all sorts of enthusiasm, and I love it. So fantastic.
What about Europe? Does Europe not get into the
the European, the French and the French, the Italians. I mean, we get a lot of love this side of the ocean. And also Japan. I got to say, Japan has been really big for the funk and soul. But the UK shines very bright in this regard. Mm-hmm.
Well, you've been sampled many times. You've been used in rap records, TV adverts.
I know. If only they could pay us, it'd be great.
Well, that's another story, isn't it? So you have some creative album titles for your Brass Instruction albums, didn't you?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What made you think of those?
It makes it easier, right? You could follow it. It's so funny. I was thinking of the new Funk Deluxe album I'm doing, and I was thinking, should I go Funk Deluxe too? Keep the tradition going. It makes it easy to follow,
So your inspirations: Hubert Laws, Tom Bell.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot from those. I remember Hubert Laws. I was in college and I met this young lady, and at that time brass was just taking off, and so I was traveling on the road and going back to classes. Right, I would go to class and then take a plane and go and do the gigs and stuff. And this young lady she was charged with keeping notes and giving me notes when I come back. So I came back one time. I came back to town, and I went to her house to pick up some notes and know what kind of homework to do and all that. We didn't have the internet, right? She couldn't email me stuff. Well, it's a good excuse for me to see a really beautiful lady as well, I have to say. We ended up dating after that. But anyway, so I went in her house and I heard this music. I said, "What's that?" She said, "That's a guy named Hubert Laws." I said, "Wow, that's amazing." She said, "You don't know about Hubert Laws?" I said, "No. I mean, wow, this is great." And it was the Morning Star album, right? And I said, "Could I borrow it?" Those days we had actual records, right? Nice, the whole album with a beautiful picture on it. And I borrowed. She says, "Okay, you could go and you could bring it back, next class, whatever." I borrowed it, and I went in the basement, and I just listened to that record up, like, front and back, just like all the riffs and Hubert stuff. And I became a massive Hubert Laws fan. Love this stuff. His sound, his tone, it's like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be, His playing was impeccable. It wasn't, what was great about Hubert, he was, classically trained and all that, went to Juilliard and all, but he had a hipness to his sound. His tone was great. It didn't sound, it's like if you have Galway, right, and Rampal. Those guys they have very strictly classical tone, right? Yeah. But Hubert could do that, but at the same time sound very hip, right? He spoke on the flute with a special kind of twang, I would say, and that appealed to me because I didn't want to be a corny sounding flute player, right? I wanted to be hip sounding, and Hubert was doing all the CTI stuff, right, with Bob James and all the different stuff, and yeah, I just got bit that Hubert Laws. So yes, he's a great influence in my
when you go back and look at the Steve notes, you'll find people like Hubert Laws on a lot of albums in the small print, which you don't get to see anymore. So let's go back to '75. BT Express. How did that all start?
Well, BT started when Jeff Lane. It's so funny. Last night I had this dream about Jeff. I have to call and see if he's okay. I woke up this morning. I saw Jeff and all the old guys. I had this dream, which means I had a good sleep last night because I've been lacking that. And finally, I got a really good rest last night. So dreaming about all sorts of stuff near Central Park.
As you do.
So Jeff and I connected. I was in high school, and Jeff's daughter went to school with one of the guys in the group. And, he told, about the band. He told, the daughter knew about the band, told her father, and said about this guy, Randy, writing stuff up. I was in East New York, in Brooklyn, and that he's a arranger guy. He does all sorts of music. Maybe you want to do stuff for the label. He was just starting a little record company called Doc Records. And anyway, we got together. He needed someone to, be the music guy, because Jeff doesn't play an instrument or anything. So I became the music guy. So I went in there. I started doing arrangements for him. We did a guy named Nat Kennedy, What's Happening, Brother, I think was one of the records. And really, really very some hokey stuff. But it was fun. It was very gospel-based. As a matter of fact, we did a Christmas record. I was just thinking, for the holiday, we did a thing called Baby Boy. It was the Cherubim Singers, I think they call them. Basically, his niece and some other girls singing. They call them the Cherubim Singers, but my job was to make it sound nice and put strings and things on it. And then he said he got this band, this thing, BT Express, that he want me to write for and do arrangements for. And I wasn't too confident because I never really did big string stuff before. So I remember, but Jeff is because he doesn't play or anything, he takes things for granted. Like, hey, Muller, you're a genius, right? Tomorrow I want some strings. I said, I never did strings. I don't know. He said, no, tomorrow, 7 o'clock, right? Give me some strings and some stuff on this, put some stuff together. And I'm all nervous. I hate to tell him no. So I went, and I remember going to one of the teachers in school and saying, Professor Holcomb, could you tell me about the strings and the violins, please? And she told me the stuff. And I went to the cafeteria. I remember I went to the cafeteria, and I started thinking about the stuff. And I went home, sat at my grandma's dinner table, and the song Express was written at the table when the guys are blowing the horn outside, saying, hey, it's time to go to the studio. I wasn't done because I wasn't sure what I was doing. That's why you hear those lines on the album, very simple. It's very simple, right? The whole album, I wrote that whole thing at my grandma's dinner table. She's an old West Indian lady. Said, boy, you have to have some nourishment because I don't like to eat when I write, right? And she's bugging me to eat, and I said, no, Grandma, I can't do this. And I'm writing the stuff up without a piano, just out of my head, hoping that everything sounds right when you get to the studio. So I remember pulling up, and we got there, and we had the violin players and everything, and they put up the track, and they start playing, and it really sounded, it worked. I mean, I was so happy, and it just came together, and that was the beginning of the whole thing. I did several albums with BT, after that. And, Jeff and I were a team. We did Garnet Mims. We did other things together. Of course, Brass Construction.
I don't think it was that simple. You might think it's simple now. I don't think it was that simple.
Well, we did a lot. Yeah, it's thing. We became the team, the production team. And, I was the arranger guy and, put together the music. And he's the deal maker, right? He went and made the deals. And I did the music. And that was it. But it was lots of fun. I was learning a lot of things. I was learning about production. I was learning about the studio. In those days, guys didn't have home studios, right?
Yeah.
And you want violins, you actually have to have union violin guys come in and play. You have to have a couple of bucks to get these guys because they're looking at the clock, the first hour, union stuff, right? They have to take a break after X amount of hours. So we'll, in those days, however, what we used to do, if we have two projects and we're paying for one, right? The guys would take a break. Jeff would say, Randy, do a quick arrangement of this thing. So I write something quick. They go on a mimeograph machine. Those days they had the ink and You take your hand and you turn the thing out. Very old-time printing. You print out the music and you hand it to the guys afterwards, and you could get 2 albums knocked off for the price of 1 or something like that, where the other guy's paying for everything, right? We did a lot of that kind of stuff. But because it was so rare and expensive to get these people under one roof to do your stuff, you try to take advantage as much as you can. So it was great. It was fun. I think it's great. It was fun. Music was all around. People were learning. I remember going in the studio, seeing guys like Patrick Adams and Harold Wheeler and different guys, going in and out. I was the kid, hey, kid, but I was learning and just getting a really great education in the music business.
Well, you started singing at the age of 7, didn't you? And you got sent to live with your grandmother in Brooklyn.
Yes. Brooklyn was the place. I remember when I came, because I had this notion of what America was like. And I guess a lot of immigrants have this thing. America was, streets paved with gold. You had like sparkly stuff in the streets. But the funny thing, when I got to JFK with my sister and my aunt, we didn't know no one was there. I guess they forgot we were coming or something. So we ended up getting a cab, which took us to my grandmother's address. And it's a very interesting place in Brooklyn. In Bed-Stuy. And it's funny because for one moment I kind of like experienced the stuff I thought America would be like. I'm laying in my bed for the very first night, and you hear guys walking down the street singing in 4-part harmony, doo-wop stuff, right?
Yeah.
It was like I'm hearing just like the movies. Like I'm like, oh my God, this is America, right? just like the movies. And you hear the beautiful harmony. Those guys, the guys in the black neighborhood, they wore the do-rag, they had their processed hair with the rags, tied around their hair, and they'd walk around singing harmony. It was like really amazing to me.
I saw the Temptations film when they did that, didn't they?
Yeah. In the 1960s, this is about 1963 or so, in those groups, you hear guys just walk around singing, right? Those were like happier times, I guess. People don't do that anymore. You don't walk around singing harmony around the street. They'll lock you up somewhere.
They lock you up,
right?
yeah, they go nuts up. So your albums were a phenomenal success, and the whole funk scene was a phenomenal success in America because everyone was having platinum and gold albums, Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind and Fire, Blast Instruction, number ones. Incredible. Yeah, well, there was a culture. It was the zeitgeist, not to use a fancy word, but it was the zeitgeist. It was the spirit of the times. And there was a learning process. Everyone had their signature. Right? Like today now, you could get a drum machine, you could play a pattern like anybody else. But, you had, like Larry in Brass Construction, Larry had a certain drumming style, right? You know the drummer from Earth, Wind and Fire. You know the drummer from Mandrill. You know the drummer. Everybody had a certain, like Buddy Miles played drum. You know his sound, like how we knew Earl Young later on, right? The Philly, that Philly thing. We knew the style. Everyone had a signature. And that's what made every group unique. We're all doing funk, but we're doing it with our own signature, our own style, our own kind of flavor. And I think it made it so fantastic, And then also what was very key at that time, I think, is that we had a sort of infrastructure that was built. There were places for musicians to play all over the place. I remember I lived in East New York, and I would go to a bar they had clubs and places to perform all over the place. So I'd go and tell a guy, hey, I have a band, it's called Brass Construction, and we like to play here. The guy said, okay, tell you what, come Tuesday night, we'll go audition, basically live. And then the guy said, okay, you got a job. And in those days, it's embarrassing to let you know how much we used to make for the whole band. And we had a Brass Construction was more than 9 guys at that time. I had a trombone player and stuff. So we had about 14 people, and we got $250, which we thought, oh my God, this is big. $250, right? You do the math, right? So if you have to get a van, in those days we couldn't sometimes afford a van to get to the gig. We would lug the stuff on carts to the show because it's in the neighborhood. We'll put the instruments on the train at times for shows, or we just lift it. We get our friends that come help us lift the drum set and to roll the amplifiers down the street, and we go to the shows. Amazing.
But people were doing this. We weren't the only guys doing this kind of stuff. There was so much interchanging, cross-pollination happening. I gotta tell you about this one gig. So we did one gig in downtown Brooklyn, And who was the guy? What was the guys who did Lisa and the Cult Jam? The brothers.
Full Force.
Full Force. So the Full Force guys are giving this party, right?
Yeah.
So we go in there and so we did the party, we played and stuff. So it came time to get paid. This is always a thing. Mr. Leader guy, I'm the leader guy that goes collect the money and I pay the guys and distribute the stuff. I went to the guy, the Full Force guy. Now I have to describe, I don't know if people out there, know about what they look like. These guys were bodybuilders, right? The Full Force guys are all muscle guys, big muscle, hulking necks, big strong arms and legs, right?
Yeah.
And they walked around that time. They were young and arrogant. Walked around, with a muscle shirt and stuff like that. So I'd go into the guy and say, okay, yeah, so we finish, let's kind of settle up. He goes, I'm not paying you. I said, well, what do you mean? I'm not paying you. I don't give you anything. I go, really? I'm like in shock, right? It's like, that time I was really tall and skinny, lean, tall, skinny, little tweaky little guy. And this big muscle guy's telling me this. But at that time, most of us were taking karate. We had like a black belt guy, and we all were doing, I had nunchucks. We used to carry nunchucks and stuff. We were all into martial arts, although I looked like a little skinny and lanky. So I went back to the guys. I said, guys, you got a problem. These guys don't want to pay us, right? They don't want to pay us, right? And I forgot, we didn't have a big fight. I remember something happened. They said maybe next Monday or something like that. But we didn't have almost had a big showdown between the Full Force and the brass guys. But we never had that. But I always remember not getting paid at the show. And I think they still owe me money. Those Full Force guys. I don't think we actually fully settled up. But we always, it was something to laugh. They went on to do Lisa and Cult Jam and all that kind of stuff. But it was a funny story. I always remember them. When I see them, I have to remind them they still probably owe me a couple of bucks. But music, that's the kind of thing. We had all sorts of stories and things that happened in the neighborhood. There were guys challenging you. I remember one guy, I was in school, and guy said he's the better flute player, and this other guy, he's now a professor over at Berkeley School. This other guy, he said, and he came to challenge me 3:30 at school. He came with his flute to challenge me in the hallway, right, in the lobby.
Yeah.
There was a spirit of music. Everybody wanted to be perfect. Everybody wanted to be better. Guys sat and practiced and did stuff. It was a really great environment, and I missed that type of spirit,
So moving forward to 2019, you're in London as we speak.
Yes.
You're going to
just pulled in. And I love this city. I love London. With all the stuff you guys are going through with Brexit and this and that, it's still a beautiful place. I love the people. I love the culture. I think it's a great, great place. Love this place. Every place has problems. New York, America, you want to talk about problems. Let's look at what's happening in my neck of the woods. But you guys, I think, I really believe things will be better here. I think things will get better. You just got to make some adjustments and things will be fine. So I love it here. The music is great. All the problems you have, this funk and soul is still going on. Music is still in the air. People are enjoying themselves. And I think go for the holidays, for the Christmas, people will have a really fantastic time. I see all little posters around. There are parties here, parties there. And
always something going on. Always something going on.
Good stuff. Yeah, I love it. I love this town. It's great. And I come and I eat your pies, your Christmas pudding. I never had Christmas pudding. Now I come so often now I'm expecting my Christmas pudding. And someone is saying, yeah, we'll get brandy sauce or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't know about all that. I don't even drink much alcohol. But hey, if they do brandy sauce, it's brandy sauce. I'll have the brandy sauce.
Brandy sauce, brandy, butter, cream, variety of things. So you're going to Soul Brother. Is that right?
What's that?
You're going to Soul Brother to sign some copies of your new
album. I should be at Soul Brothers on the 28th. What day is that? The
28th. Like I've got a calendar in front of me, isn't it? Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be there on Saturday at about 1 o'clock. And I'm going to sign my new album. Of course, I got to do a cheap plug. Welcome to My Life, which I'm enjoying. Something I wanted to do for quite a long time. Actually, the album, I recorded about 30-something songs, like 33, 34 songs. They're not all in the album, but I got, a really, I chose about 15 tracks from that batch. And it tells a story. It tells a story of when I first came to America, from when I was a child in Guyana, British Guyana at that time. Yes, I was a British subject, listening to BBC as a child, spoiled by this stuff. But BBC at that time gave such a variety of programs. Yeah, I remember used to listening to old orchestral things by Mantovani and stuff by Stanley Black, and just all sorts of old-fashioned stuff. And so that's how I got a sense, my ear for orchestrations, nice, beautiful strings and all. And so on this album, I did a couple of arrangements and songs reminiscent of that, all the way to my funk period when I landed in Brooklyn and started to hear all the kind of, this really amazing music, going back to the old days. And so this album starts, you get Brazilian Nights, which has beautiful soaring strings, and you have, what is it, Algo Simple, something simple. I'm trying to sing some Spanish stuff,
Yeah.
I hope you excuse me for that one. But it's that's the kind of music I heard. I used to love radio, and I still do love radio. I fancied myself a radio broadcaster when I was younger, and also, I liked the technical part of building radio. I used to build ham radios and things on my own. I had an interest in science and electronics and things. So I used to listen to old, these old-time radios where I used to make them up with a carbon variable condenser. You dial the stations, and I would make it up and put antenna, big wires in my backyard, so I could get stations from different parts of the world. And I would hear things in all sorts of languages. I don't even know the language, but you would hear some great music. I mean, like Nat King Cole would come buzzing over, a song, Quizás, all sorts of things I would hear, and I just loved.
Yes, and
it's not the best to know. You hear it like phasing and flanging. The music is not clear. It sweeps in and sweeps out. But it was great stuff. And so this album traces all that to the funk period. I gave a little thing when I got into the brass construction sound. That's that song, What Are We Gonna Do? Has that flavor. As a matter of fact, there's a new mix coming. It's going to be our new single. We have a new mix. It's called the Brassy Mix. It brings out more of that punch, that Brooklyn, made it a little tougher and rawer than the album version. But we got into like what's the other track? Welcome to My Life, the title track, which is very 70s retro. There's a whole bunch of music in that flavor, and I basically tried to capture the times, right? I tried to capture 1975. I tried to capture in 1969. I tried to do that. There's a song representative of those periods. Until the modern, you hear more modern, slicker tracks coming in. We have a thing Over and Over, beautiful, smooth track that really works, I think. And so yeah, I'm enjoying the album. I'm enjoying the response to the album, more importantly. And I want to invite everybody to come out the 28th. That's Saturday. I'll be at Soul Brother Records. Was it Putney, right? Is it Putney?
That's right, South London.
Yeah,
South London, mate. London.
I'll be going south on Saturday. How is that?
That's brilliant.
And of course, I got to give a plug. But if you don't want to come out, you can go to Randy Muller Music. It's very easy, randymullermusic.com. And you get the album, you get all the things I've done there. I just put up the site about a few months ago because I found there was a need for it. So the big thing now is randymullermusic.com. You go there, you get the CD there as well. You could press through and buy the CD as well. So I look forward to seeing the gang there, and thank you, Gary, for letting me include this cheap plug.
Big thank you to Steve Ripley for arranging this today. Big thank you to Nick Aravis as well, who I'm sure you'll be seeing while you're here.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be at Soul Brother on Saturday, which is great, and you can go to your website, which is randymullermusic.com, and you can download everything. Just quickly, your favourite songs of all time. Wake Up Everybody, The Blue Notes, Send in the Clouds, Frank Sinatra. Second and third, maybe LTD, Back in Love Again. Stylistics, People Make the World Go Around. And
that's right.
Let's chuck in Cool and the Gang, Hollywood Swing. Am I right?
Yeah. I think you're right on.
Wow, what a good guess.
Well, you know what? I just feel funny. I just have something next to me here. I have a surprise for you, right? For your listeners, right?
Go on.
I have a surprise. Okay, here I have a surprise.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for bringing on your flutes.
I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Randy. Thanks for joining us here live today on Starpoint Radio. Merry Christmas. Good luck with the album. Good luck with the signing. So remember, everyone to go to Soul Brother, go and meet the man himself, Mr. Randy Muller, on Soul Brother Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
On DAB, smartphone app, and around the world on starpointradio.com. Your real alternative. Starpoint Radio.